Hi, I'm Shwet. Today I'm going to work on a Leetcode problem. So I'm going to use Python as my programming language. So let us start by understanding the problem. So we have been given a sorted characters letters list which contains only lowercase letters, and we have a target letter target, and we need to find the smallest element in this list letters with that is larger than the given target. So so one thing about any problem in competitive is like you can fairly understand the problem by reading the content. So it is always better to look at the examples, look at the cases, where it will help you to kind of build your initial algorithm. So if I come to the first example, basically over here, so you have a list of letters where you have C, F, J, and you have your target as A, and and C is greater than A, which is the first element, which is greater than your target, and your output is C. So it's happening in a similar manner. Like you need to, so over here the question is asking to find the smallest element in the list that is larger than the given target. So one thing is that the letters are sorted. So if any of the element which is if you find any element in a list, like if you're going through your list in a sequence matter, like you are starting from the first element and you are going to the second element and finally you're going to the nth element. So once you kind of find any element in that order that is greater than your target, then you have to kind of stop your algorithm because you have already got your answer. So that's what, like here the very first element was greater than your target, so you don't require to go to the entire list because you have got your answer. You have got your element in the list which is greater than the target. The problem is solved at that point of time only. So now let us look at the second case where your target is C, and it is kind of it is equal to the first element in the letter. So this is probably not the answer because you need to find an element which is larger than the target. So you look at this letters, you look at the second element F, which is greater than C, and of course that's the answer, F. Now similar you can see for the third. Now you can see for the even for the fourth, you here your third element is greater than your target, which is probably the last element for that list. Now this one is quite tricky. Now look at this where your target is J and your very last element of this letters is J, which is not greater than J. So you are getting answer as C. So that's where something odd happens in your code. So always remember, like you look at any problem, whether it's too hard or too easy, you will be able to come up with an initial algorithm which can solve some part of your test cases, some test cases, maybe 50% test cases, but there will be always a scenario of edge cases in any problem, and that's what they test for. So it is kind of a way like you have been given 30 minutes to solve a problem, and initially by looking at the description, by looking at the test cases, you can come up with a solution which is 50% efficient or 50% successful in your test cases. In your entire, like I would say, entire test cases, it is going to pass 50% of them, but they will always have those edge cases, and it is always about that how you kind of cope or kind of conquer those other edge cases. So maybe there are people, maybe you cannot be 100% right every time, that is for sure, but if you are kind of making from 50 to 75, if you are not able to pass all 100% test cases, but you were able to pass 75% test case, and there were people who kind of solved who were able to do 100% test cases, that's fine, they are able to do that. But when you are able to do 75%, that shows that you have credible, you know how to kind of face any kind of problem. Maybe you are not 100% efficient of that, you don't have the 100% efficient or successful solution for that, but you were close to that, and that's what the entire point of this entire competitive programming is, entire structure of coding is. So now let's get back to the problem. So I got something like a edge cases. So now let us kind of start coding. Let's see how it goes. So I know I have a list of letters which is kind of sorted. So first thing which I'll do is I'll just iterate over this list. So this is quite simple, like I'll just do like this. So now you know that each element of your letters will be compared with the target. So I need to use some kind of conditional statement, because I am completely focusing on whether it's greater or lesser. So what we are looking for, that we want an element in this letters which is greater than my target, and that is basically my answer. So what I'll do is, so any of these problems, it's the best way to kind of have an empty list. Okay, like now as soon as you get the answer, like you can kind of append this into this empty list. So you got a value, and you know that once you find an element in your target list, your code is over. You have got your answer. You have find an element in your list which was greater than target. So I guess this is kind of first level of solution. It is kind of correct. So I can say that, okay, I have come up with an algorithm which is right. But don't you think I'm missing a lot? I'm missing something. Of course, I'm missing this fourth case. How I am going to face this? How, if there is no element in the list which is greater than target, what should I do? So first of all, let's complete this if condition. So once we get this answer, once we are in this ideal scenarios where I am able to find an element, I just don't require to go, once I found an element which is greater than target, I don't require to go ahead. Suppose I have a lot of data, a list which is quite large, like it has 1 lakh data points, like 1 lakh elements, and your 100th element is greater than your target. So you got your answer. You don't require to surf around this list from 101 to the lakh, and that saves a lot of computation, of course, because you got your answer at 100. So for this scenario, what I believe and what I think is that once you got the answer, let's break it. You don't require to go around this list anymore. You're done with your answer. But if you are not able to find your element which is greater than this, so what should I do? So what I'll do is, because maybe your out of 5 elements in your list, maybe your list has 5 elements, and maybe the first 4 elements was not larger than your target, and the 5th element was larger than this target. Eventually this 5th element will come here. So what should I do with the rest of us? So what I'll do is, I'll just maintain a counter for the cases where no element is greater than this, where the element was not greater than this target. So I'll just maintain this counter, and I'll just continue it, because I just want, until and unless I reach till the end, I want to continue it, because I'm very particular. I know that even the last element can be greater than your target, because it's a sorted order, and every time your element is larger as compared to the previous one. So now this is kind of done, but now how can I put it in an answer? So now if I tell you something that this count is going to help me to solve this case, so you can see here how many times your for loop happened for this case. First, it was not, the first element was not greater than, so your count with this case is 1. Second was also not greater, the count becomes 2. Third was also not greater, the count becomes 3. And what is the length of the letters? 3. That means if I write something like this, and because if your count is equal to the length of the letters, that means it went till the last element from 1 to the nth, and it was not able to find any element greater than that. That means there is no element in the list which is greater than the target. That means we need to get the first element of your list. What if your C is not equal to n? Maybe your 4th element was greater than target, and you have your n as 5. and count as 3 because 3 times it went inside this loop, because the first 3 elements were not greater than target. In that case, because you finally got the answer, you are in this break, just get this. So I'll just look at the sample cases. So I guess there is some fault. Okay, I forgot to get the length of the string, length of this list, and over here I'll just put it. Okay, let's do it again, and you can see, okay, I was able to solve, I was able to get the right answer for my sample cases. Let's submit it for the overall cases. See, it worked. So that's what, how I made a use of count, and how I equated my count with my length of my list. That helped me conquer this case, one of the edge case, like I guess the only edge case for this problem. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much.